Hello, I am Dr. Y.S. Vidya, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Lal Bahadur Shastri Government First Grade College, RT Nagar, Bangalore. In this e-content, I am going to cover a small part of the stellar evaluation. The learning objectives are to make the students to understand stages of the star formation, main sequence evaluation, white dwarfs, pulsars, neutron stars, and the black holes and variable stars. Session outcomes are: on completion of this chapter, the student will be able to outline the stellar evaluation based on the observed properties of large number of stars and describe how the stars of different initial mass might evolve. The student can able to understand how the stars of different masses schematically evolve. Students can able to describe the evaluation of stars from the main sequence to their evaluationary endpoints. The students can able to explain the physical processes that drive the evaluation of stars, life cycle of a star, different stages of the formation of the star such as protostar, main sequence star, white dwarf, pulsar, neutron stars, and the black holes. Stellar evaluation, it is the process in which star undergoes sequence of radical changes during its lifetime from birth to death. All the stars are born from collapsing the clouds of the gas and the dust particles. This cloud of gas and the dust particles is known as the nebulae. Sometimes it is also called as giant molecular clouds. Stellar evaluation is nothing but a continuous work between the two forces. One is the gravitational contraction and the radiation pressure. This radiation pressure is totally different. Life cycle of a star starts from nebula and ends with either with a black hole or the supernova. The collection of gaseous particles or the dust particles is called as the nebula. This nebula, it is like a birth of the star. It slowly transforms into a protostar, which is nothing but a childhood of the protostar. We can say protostar is nothing but the pre-childhood of the star. And after that, slowly it will be and moves towards the main sequence star. And then it will and moves to the another stage called as the red giant or the supergiant. Main sequence star can also be regarded as adult stage of the star. And then slowly this white dwarf, neutron star, black hole and the supernova, these are called as the remnant stages of the star, which is nothing but an old age of the stars. Generally, the red giant or the supergiant will be moves towards the white dwarf, and after certain years, it will be slowly turns into neutron star. This neutron star, either it may and move toward become a black hole, or it may become a supernova. Nebula. Nebula, you can easily view the picture of the nebula. Nebula is nothing but an interstellar clouds of the gas particles and the dust particles. Some nebulas are often several light years in diameter, and the cloud may be 100 times bigger than our own solar system. Nebulae, which consisting of a cloud, it will be unusually at a very high temperature. Nebula, these are usually looks like a red in color because the hydrogen is the common gas which is found in the nebula. Generally, hydrogen is going to emit the red color. As a result, we can say the nebula is going to emit and looks like a red in color. This is the protostar. Once the nebula is formed, that means when the cloud of a gas or the dust particles is formed, it starts to attract small clouds. As a result, the size of the cloud becomes increases. GMC is nothing but a giant molecular cloud. The size of the giant molecular cloud goes on increases. As a result, the gravitational contraction is also increases simultaneously. Because of this increase in the gravitational contraction, the pressure and the temperature of the core, which is nothing but core is nothing but the center of the cloud, is also starts to increase. As its temperature and the pressure increases, the center of the cloud appears like a rotating sphere. You can easily observe in the figure. This is the rotating sphere of the superhot gas. This stage is known as the protostar. This protostar can also be called as the pre-formation stage of the star. Next, it will be slowly, after a few years, it will be slowly evolve into another stage that is called as the main sequence evaluation. The gravitational contraction is the continuous process which is taking place in the protostar. You know, in the protostar, the gravitational contraction is in mode. This will be continuously taking place. Because of the increase in temperature and the pressure at the core, the temperature, as and when the temperature reaches 10 to the power of 6 Kelvin, that temperature is sufficient to initiate the thermonuclear fusion reactions at the center of the core. In this reaction, what happens? Hydrogen fuses into helium. During this fusion reaction, the radiation starts to release, and when the radiation starts to release, it exerts a radiation pressure. This radiation pressure always acts away from the center of the star. So, the gravitational contraction is balanced by the radiation pressure. Hence, the clouds attain the equilibrium. When this gravitational contraction is balanced by the radiation pressure, an equilibrium is going to attain. That equilibrium is called as the hydrostatic equilibrium. This hydrostatic equilibrium avoids the collapse. Once the hydrostatic equilibrium is reached, the star will remain stable for as long as it is in the main sequence star, and this is the adult stage of the star. Then we will come into the maturity of the star. Some protostars may not attain the hydrostatic equilibrium and simply fades out from the view. The stars whose mass is less than that of the 0.5 times the mass of the sun, which is less than that of the 0.5 mass of the sun, the star ceases to produce the energy through fusion, causing an unstable and the uneven reaction. So such a star is called as the brown dwarf. Stars of roughly 0.5 to 10 solar masses becomes red giants. These red giants are of in two stages. One is red giant branch stars, whose shells are still fusing hydrogen into helium, while the core becomes an inactive helium. And the second one is asymptotic giant branch, which has the core undergoing an helium fusion producing the carbon. In either case, the accelerated fusion in the hydrogen containing layer immediately over the core causes the stars to expand. This is the red giant. You can easily observe the red giant. The red giant is 100 times bigger and cooler than it was originally. Usually the red giant is orange in color, and this is 20 times as massive as the sun and 14,000 times brighter. When this red giant die, they become dwarfs. Example is like a white dwarf. Example is Betelgeuse. And the second one, we can call that one as the supergiant. It is the largest known type of the star. Some are almost as large as our entire solar system. When they die, they explode as a supernova and become black hole or the neutron star. And the example is Rigel. Remnant phase of the stars. This is nothing but an old age of the stars. Dwarf, neutron star, pulsar, black hole and supernova are the remnant phases of the stars. When the fuel is completely burnt out, there is no fuel to carry out the thermal nuclear fusion reactions. When there is no thermal nuclear fusion, there is no balancing between the gravitational contraction and the radiation pressure. When there is no radiation pressure, the gravitational contraction starts to dominates. When the gravitational contraction dominates, size of the star and the volume is decreases, As a result, density will increases. The different phases of the remnant phases are, as I told, this is the white dwarf. At one particular situation, what happens? Electrons in the atoms of such a star starts to behave like a gas. That is called as the electron gas. Here, this electron gas exerts a pressure called as the electron gas pressure. This pressure is similar to the radiation pressure. This pressure is also acting away from the center of the star. So, the electron gas pressure is balanced by the gravitational contraction, and this stage of the star is called as the white dwarf. White dwarf usually occur only when the core, which have the masses up to 1.4 times that of the mass of the sun. This is the another remnant stage of the star, which is called as the neutron star. According to Chandrasekhar mass limit, if the mass of the core exceeds 1.4 times that of the mass of the sun. If it is on 1.4 times that of the mass of the sun, it is called as the white dwarf. If it is more than that of the 1.4 times that of the mass of the sun, the white dwarf collapses into a neutron star. The gravitational contraction dominates so that the size will again starts to decrease and the density will starts to increase. So, the electrons are forcibly moved towards the nucleus. When the electron is moving towards the nucleus, this electron interacts with the proton and it becomes a neutron. This process is called as the inverse beta decay. Inside the nucleus, both protons and the neutrons fuses to form the neutrons. Thus, the core is entirely made up of a neutron. So, these neutrons are under the higher pressure, and this gas pressure is called as the neutron gas pressure. Here, in this case, the neutron gas pressure is balanced by the gravitational contraction. Such a star is called as the neutron star. This is pulsar. Pulsar is nothing but it is also a neutron star, but it is called as a spinning neutron star. That is usually going to emit the energy in the form of the pulses, hence the name pulsar. It is an object which emits the sharp pulses of radio waves periodically. So periodically means at each and every instant of time, it is going to emit the radio waves. They both result from the supernova explosion. Size of each is around 10 km, and the rotational period of the pulsar is compatible with that of the neutron star. So now in the case of the pulsar, let us consider the rotational kinetic energy. Since it is going to move in the form of, it is nothing but a spinning neutron star. Consider the rotational kinetic energy of the neutron star. You know, kinetic energy can be written as a half into I omega square. Here I is called as the moment of inertia of the neutron star, and omega is the angular frequency of the neutron star. Now differentiating this one, we get dk by dt is equal to, usually when differentiating we'll get half into 2 into I into d omega by dt. 2 to 2 will get and cancel. So we got dk by dt is equal to I into omega into d omega by dt. But you know, omega, which is nothing but an angular frequency of the neutron star, is given by 2 pi by t. Or d omega by dt is nothing but an 2 pi divided by t square into dt by dt, which is called as an equation number 3. Now, substituting equation number 3 into what we get? dk by dt is equal to 2 pi I omega divided by t square into dt divided by dt small dt. Now, substitute the moment of inertia is given by 2 by 5 into mr square. By substituting this one, we get dk by dt is equal to 2 pi omega divided by 2 square into, instead of an I am substituting here as in 2 pi by 5 m into r square into dt by dt. So, dk divided by dt is equal to 4 pi m omega r square divided by 5 into t square into dt by small dt. But omega square is equal to 4 pi square divided by t square, or dk by dt is equal to 4 omega cube r square 5 pi into dt by dt. After placing, m is equal to m sun, that is nothing but the mass of the sun, and the radius can be taken as in 10 km. Then we got dk by dt is equal to minus 3 into 10 to the power of 31 joule per second. Thus, neutron stars are emitting 3 into 10 to the power of 31 joule per second of energy, and the production of pulses will be stopped after a few million years and become a non-rotating neutron stars. Black hole. Whenever the mass of the neutron star exceeds 3 to 4 times that of the mass of the sun, the neutron star collapses and star ends its life through the two different ways based on their masses. Some stars simply disappears from the view called as the black hole, and some stars undergoes a violent explosion called as the supernova. These are the variable stars. A star whose luminosity or the spectrum appears to change with time is known as the variable stars. Over 1,50,000 variable stars are known and catalogued, and many thousands more are suspected to be variable. Variable stars are classified as intrinsic variables whose luminosity actually changes. For example, because the star periodically swells and shrinks. Extrinsic variables whose apparent changes in brightness are due to changes in the amount of their light that can reach the earth. For example, because the star has an orbiting companion that sometimes eclipses it. Variable star plays a crucial role in our understanding of the universe. Cepheid variable have played a major part in determining the distance to faraway galaxies and determining the age of the universe. This is the Cepheid variable, which is one of the class of the variable star, whose period, that is, time for one cycle of the variation, are closely related to their luminosity, and that are therefore useful in measuring interstellar and intergalactic distances. And these are multiple choice questions. Which of the following sequence below correctly describes the evolution of the sun from young to old? The answer is D, because protostar and after that main sequence star will come, and then the red giant and then the white dwarf. A planetary nebula means it is nothing but a shell of gas ejected from a star late in its life. Stars like the sun probably do not form iron cores during their evolution, because their cores never get hot enough for them to make the iron by nucleosynthesis. As a star like the sun evolves into a red giant, its core always contracts and heats up. A star whose mass is 5 times larger than the sun's and whose luminosity is 100 times larger than the sun's has the main sequence lifetime about 20 times shorter than the sun. Thank you.